Good afternoon and welcome to Discernment Radio. I'm your host, Danielle Pailly, and usually I'm joined by co-host Cindy Riednauer, but Cindy is out of the studio this week and will rejoin us as soon as she's back from her travels. Discernment Radio, people and topics to enhance your life. And today we're joined by Harrison Davis. Harrison Davis is the owner and operator of Heavenly Energy Works and a Reiki master who leads spiritual retreats and workshops. This is part one of a three-part series on energy and the sixth sense. Harrison, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Sure. It's, it's really interesting looking at your website. So for people who may not be familiar with your work, can you tell us a little more about Heavenly Energy Work and what are energy clearings?
Yeah, Heavenly Energy Works is something that I started, I guess, a few years ago. My life has been revolving around spirituality and healing and fixing my own issues, insecurities, problems, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's how we all get into this work, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just an endless battle. And so I really started it because I felt like I could truly help people. I've been on the roller coaster, I've been on the highs and the lows and the whole 9 yards, and I've made it through. Well, to the other side, at least to this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I started it because I felt like it was time. And I did. And it started off really, really well. And then it kind of, fell a little bit. And the reason it fell was because I lost my focus. I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with the business. I didn't know what angle I wanted to take it in. Yeah. And so I then took a 1.5 siesta and basically shut everything down and really evaluated as to what it is I wanted to do. And in doing so, I really developed the love of truly helping people. And so it was more than okay, I'm going to fix your headache. It's more of, okay, I'm going to do the grunt work necessary to help you alter your life in a way that benefits you. And so, if you needed to stop thinking negatively or something like that, then I would bombard you with a bunch of emails, information, and different things to give you the information that you would need to, to change, to kind of have all the pieces for you to put the puzzle together.
So I'm pretty sure our listeners are familiar with energy clearing and energy work, but just to clarify, you're talking about reaching somebody, not like a medical doctor, but kind of intuitively reaching in and seeing the whole picture and the whole person, like what's causing the headache and illness on a spiritual level. Is that a good analogy?
Absolutely. That is exactly what I do. You did ask about the energy clearing. And so, about the energy clearing, what I do is I tap into the person and I see their entire energy field. I start off and it looks like I'm viewing, I'll use you as an example. I'm viewing you as a person standing in my living room, okay? Mm-hmm. And then I start zooming out to the point where you're just a dot on the wall. You're so small, but I'm so far out and so big. Uh-huh. And then I'm able to look at your physical body and your cosmic body and your spiritual body and all of that at the same time and kind of clear away any blocks or negativity that I see.
That is a really awesome approach to it. I've never heard it explained quite that way. So can you differentiate the cosmic body and spiritual body? What's a cosmic body?
Cosmic body essentially involves, the universal realm. Mm-hmm. And so we have different universes, and you have pieces of you or parts of you that are associated to each universe. Okay. And so your cosmic body contains different pieces of different universes all over space.
Okay. I'm with you so far, at least in theory. Okay. Even though some of our minds might not expand. But so in the multiverse, there are many versions of Danielle in different various parts and formations. So you're looking at the person from a spiritual body in front of you and then all their iterations across the multiverse?
Yes.
Okay.
I know it sounds a little crazy.
Not to me, it doesn't. So I'm right there with you.
Basically, it's all of that, and I remove the energies that I'm able to see. Uh-huh. God tends to limit some things from time to time because it's not my thing to fix on you.
Yes. You're kind of leading people to heal themselves. You're just kind of showing them what needs to be seen.
Absolutely. And I also think, like, to put it in a broader perspective, you're a healer, I'm a healer, and we heal on different areas. And what I mean by that is, if you imagine 10 people standing in the middle of a room, all holding hands in a circle. Okay? Yep. And then you place a soccer ball in the middle of the circle. Even though you're standing right beside me, you have a slightly different perspective of that soccer ball than I do. We're both seeing the soccer ball, but you might see a few more dots than I do.
Yeah.
And then the person across from us sees something completely different. They're also looking at the soccer ball, but it is a different side of it. And so there's no side that's right or wrong. It's just some pieces are a little bit different. Yeah. And so I may have the gifts to heal a particular ailment with you. And then another healer may have gifts to heal a different ailment or a different issue, or so on and so forth. And so I think we're all sent here to work as one or in unison, instead of I'm the ultimate healer and I'm better than everybody else. It's not that at all. We're all supposed to be like a big family helping to heal each other.
So it kind of makes, when you look at either Reiki energy sessions where people meet in groups, or when people meet in prayer groups, or people do peace meditations, the power that comes from everybody putting their energy and their perspective in the same space is what it sounds like you're saying, kind of working together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a curious question for you, because it's all about energy and then different vibrations. And, people come to us on different levels and vibrate on different energies. Now, one thing I've experienced in my life at times, where when I'm kind of in the flow of work and life and I'm attracting happy, productive people, because that's where I am. And then once in a while, like, I don't know if you've experienced this, you have a ton of like negative people that they all seem to show up at the same time, and they kind of pick at you like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And I notice it happens in waves. How would you explain when something like that happens?
Okay, that's a really good question, and it is kind of a loaded question. And so I hope you have some time. What happens when you are productive and you are manifesting more productive people is y'all are on the same wavelength and you are in an upward, I guess, flow. And so you're raising to a next vibration. You're raising to a higher level. And so you guys are using each other as essentially a ladder, right? And so you may resonate a little bit higher than I do today, but then Bob might resonate higher than both of us, and he pulls us up to his level. Okay? Okay. And so that's how, like, when you manifest the positivity, that's kind of how that works. You just need to stay in that bubble and push everybody else away, essentially. But to the negative point where you are not manifesting, where you're bringing in negativity, it can be a few different things. One, it could just be random people trying to knock you off balance. And so they're trying to tell you that you're not worthy enough, or you're not this, you're not that. And they're trying to put, issues in your mind that will take you away from the actual focus of what you're trying to do and hinder your progress, essentially, like crippling the thing that you're trying to have happen. And they're not doing this intentionally. It's just their vibration is on a lower level than your vibration, and they're trying to pull you to them instead of allowing you to pull them to you. The other part is when you are becoming yourself. There's a lot of people who get, what's the word I'm looking for? They get under the control of other people, and they become that person, and they're like the little minion of that person. And when they start getting a voice for themselves, or they start doing better for themselves, then that person that they used to be controlled by now gets pissed off because they're standing up for themselves. They're being their true self. They're developing their voice. They're developing their sense of I am. And that can resonate badly with people, which then can strike the deep negativity. And you can see this a lot in like family members and really, really close friends. I've had my fair share of of that going on. But the more that you resonate with what it is that you're supposed to be doing with your life, the more of these people that tend to pop up and be naysayers and negative thinkers and Debbie Downers. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I think they would, so essentially they'll either rise to your vibration or they'll go away, but you can't stay in that state because there's kind of a conflict.
Yes.
Yeah. And that, I think you've just helped, like, everybody listening to this call, I think, can resonate with that answer. So thank you so much for that great explanation.
Absolutely. Thanks for the question.
Sure. So now, I've noticed, and I know Cindy and I have talked about it, we know a lot of healers and energy workers who are women, not as much for men. And so as a man who's sensitive to energies, have you had this your whole life, or did you have to develop it by choice?
I've had it my whole life. It's been a blessing and a curse all in one big bundle. I didn't know it when I was younger, but I was empathing like everybody.
Yeah.
And now that I'm older and I realize what it is, what's going on, I've realized who I am, then I can, when I meditate, I can figure out whose energy I'm empathing, and I can remove that from myself.
Interesting. Kind of choosing to filter what you let in and what you don't let in?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I can give you an example. Okay, I have a really good one. About a year ago, I had this crazy thing happen where I was driving in my car and I could see a car accident. And I didn't know why or how it was going to happen. I couldn't figure out, like, normally if I see a car accident, I can see the cause of the car accident and I can remove the thing that's causing the accident, preventing the accident entirely.
Okay.
And so I was looking for the cause. I could never find the cause, but I'd see images of my car. One where I was missing a bumper. The next time the trunk was in my front seat. And I mean, it was like crazy car accidents. It went on for a year to the point where I got crazy anxiety. I started like white knuckling the steering wheel whenever people were like pulling up behind me. And lo and behold, it would be a little old lady stopping 20 car lengths behind. And I'm sitting there screaming in the driver's seat. She's going to hit me. And then one day I was super tired and I was driving and the same thing happened. And when I looked in my rearview mirror to figure out if this person was actually going to hit me or what, I saw a negative spiral. And the negative spiral is a traumatic incident that happens and it can pull people in. There's a bunch of different scenarios with negative spirals. That's for a different conversation. But I saw the negative spiral. I removed it and the anxiety completely went away.
Nice.
And so what it was I was empathing a car accident that had happened previously.
And every time you were in that zone, you were picking up on it.
Yeah, and it happened like everywhere. And so it took me about a month of clearing different negative spirals to finally, now I drive around my bubble and I don't freak out.
So now, I kind of want to get back to one thing about when we're talking about negative energy. You're saying that when you sit with it, you know that you're empathing on something and you can block it. Can you give a little tip for somebody who may be empathic out there and say they know they're absorbing energy around them to kind of protect themselves? Is there something quick that they can do as kind of to not let it in?
Absolutely. There's a few. You can ask for the gift of a pearly white ball of light, and you imagine this big ball of light coming down surrounding your body and not allowing anything to come in. That's one. I've used that in the past, like whenever I was in the gym and working out and I was empathing all of the crazy people working out around me. I mean, if you've been to the gym,
yes.
You know the people I'm talking about.
Yes.
And another one is asking for a golden pyramid.
Oh, interesting.
And you ask for this golden pyramid and it comes down and it surrounds your body and it connects with like the earth around you. And when that does, that's the pyramid of protection. And it stops like negative energies and all of that from attaching to you.
And what's the third one?
The next one is just rising above it. Mm-hmm. See yourself on a current plane or current environment, and imagine yourself slowly floating upwards to where you're not in that vibration anymore. And it kind of pulls you out of that realm of empathing those people.
And one of the tricks, if you don't mind me sharing, that works for me that might help people is I used to run from a lot of negativity, and now if I see somebody who's giving off that energy, I'm trying to send them loving kindness and doing like a brief mini loving kindness meditation, like kind of calming them down. And I don't know if it does anything to calm them down, but it certainly calms me down. So
absolutely. What you're doing whenever you're sending love is you're actually clearing that person, because love is the strongest energy for clearing spiritually.
Now, I notice you say God a lot. So when you meet with people and you're talking about God and angels, or somebody might talk about spirit animals or their ancestors or even ghosts, do you adapt to their language when you work with them, or do they, you just come in and speak from your truth and they just hear it or they don't hear it?
I speak from my truth because I am who I am, and I'm not saying that having other beliefs is wrong. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's perfectly fine. I believe in God because I can see God.
Okay.
I believe in Jesus because I can see him, so on and so forth. And, their beliefs is not wrong, because like when you brought up the ancestors, there is an ancestor dimension where you go and you tap into the elders and the ancestors, and you can get the information from them, and you can get much stronger spiritual gifts in order to help people. And so even though that they're all different beliefs, they're still wrapped around the same kind of premise.
So you've been really candid on your website about your troubled past. Your blog is really raw and open, and I appreciate that, because so many healers I think come across as, I have overcome everything and have reached perfection, now let me save you. And I really liked the open and honesty that in the way you write. So can you talk a little bit more about your path out of your past and what your life is like today? I'll
just paint the whole picture. Sure. I started off really quickly. I'll paint the picture really quickly.
No problem.
I started off, and, my family life was good. My father worked very, very hard. He made a lot of money, but he was never really home. He'd go to work at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, come home at 6, 7 o'clock at night. So he was kind of distant. But, it is what it is. He made himself a very nice life today, and so all is well. And through that, I had my own issues. I battled with, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, other tobacco products, and, tried to fight through all of that, and hung out with the wrong crowds and got into a bunch of trouble. And through all of that, I learned to meditate when I was about 15 or 16. And that's when I started to learn. I met my friend Gary, and he cleared my third eye so I could see spiritually. It got blocked previously by different issues, some parenting, some problems, some issues I was doing. Yeah. It can get blocked from drug use and different things like that. And so all of that happened. And when my third eye opened, I was able to start meditating and really seeing. Mm-hmm. And what really pulled me out of the darkness was God and Jesus. God came to me one night whenever I was drunk, sitting on a couch. I had just gotten a DUI and a drunk in public the same month.
You're having a rough time.
Yeah, going to jail twice in the same month. Let me tell you, it's fun. I wouldn't recommend it, though. It's not a place you can go meet good friends.
Gotcha.
And so, and he came to me while I was in like a drunken stupor, basically. And he said, it's time for you to quit. I was sitting there like crying and so emotional. And I was like, I don't know that I can. And he said, no, now is the time. And so he stood by my side and we carried on conversations, and not on a daily basis, but on a every so many days we would talk, and he would kind of like nudge me in a direction and be like, every time I was getting ready to drink, he would step in and be like, no man, don't do that. Trust me, I messed up a few times, but
Yeah.
I got the hint.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll just take away for people listening. Don't get drunk in order to talk to God. You don't need to get drunk first. Just meditate.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah, just meditate. You got it.
So I'm just curious, do you think being empathic and maybe not realizing how powerful it was, that some of the drugs and the other things, not just your childhood and different experiences, but could it be that you were feeling so much emotion you were kind of trying to dampen it down a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. I think it was that, and the fact that I was living in the town that I was living in. Mm-hmm. I was living in Richmond, Virginia, and like in the downtown area. Like I lived above a restaurant and a bar and all kinds of places.
Yeah.
And so I think I was empathing like alcoholism from alcoholics in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
But not knowing that I was, absorbing all of this junk from other people.
But it turns positive. Can you talk about what your life is like today?
Oh, absolutely. My life is great. I wake up basically every day and meditate and hang out and talk to God. It was a crazy realization when I got your question, because I remember waking up every day having a headache and my head would hurt all the time back then. And now I wake up and my head hurts. I know I need to meditate and clear my energy to get the headache to go away. And so back then I thought pain was normal. Now I know pain is not, and that it's very fixable, and you just have to meditate and clear your energy and get everything flowing right.
So what do you think the future holds for energy work? Do you think mainstream media is starting to acknowledge it, or do we have a long way to go?
I think the main turning point is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. It's really hyped up in the last 20 years, but I think it's going to be even more in the next 5 to 10 years. Like I think there's going to be how there's yoga studios like all over town. Mm-hmm. I think there are going to be meditation studios all over town.
That would be so awesome.
And I think it's going to be, I think there's going to be like a blend. I think there's going to be like a yoga and meditation studio like everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think that's going to happen. And I think people are going to start like paying attention to the food that they eat and how important it is. Like, I'm not condoning eating all organic because it's expensive, but eat the best food that you can possibly afford, because you are what you put in your body.
So before we wrap up, and you've given us a lot of really great information, and I'm so appreciative of your time, for listeners who want to cultivate more joy, maybe they're listening to this and they're looking to clear something from their own life, can you give one or two takeaways that they can do right now for themselves?
Absolutely. The first would be to stop yourself from thinking negative. And that is very easy, actually. Whenever you have a negative thought, you simply think in your mind, that was not my thought. And then you replace it with a positive thought. And so that part can be a little difficult depending on who you're replacing the positive thought with.
And it takes time, because negative people don't realize. I meet a lot of negative people who think they're really positive, and the stuff that comes out of their mouth, I'm like, nah, I might want to take a look at your thoughts. So I like that. This is not my thought, and try to look at it from a positive perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
It took me 3 months to go from negative to positive.
Okay.
And I was super negative. I was like negative Nancy whenever I started. And so for me to do that, that was like a miracle. But I know it works. And one of my really good friends uses the word cancel whenever he has a negative thought.
Ooh, I like that.
He says cancel, and then it stops the thought from happening. And you get to the point where you do this so much, you know the feeling of the negative thought before the negative thought happens. Because what really happens is it's not your thought at all.
Yeah.
It's an energy that you're tapping into that is making you think that thought.
Okay.
I know that went a little deep at the end.
That's okay. No, I love it. And I like that a lot because, and you get on a path where you're thinking a certain thing and then something bad will happen during the day and it's really easy to kind of backslide. So I like the idea of this is not my thought, cancel, and then look at, like the Buddhists would say, look at somebody's good qualities. So if you're seeing something bad and you're annoyed about somebody, think, all right, let me think about their good qualities. So, and What's the second one?
The second one would be to really fixate on the beauty of the world. Yeah. The world is beautiful all around us. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be in the desert, you could be on the beach, you could be in the city, you could be in the country. It doesn't matter. You can look anywhere and find true beauty and really focus on the beautifulness. The more you focus on that, the more you're going to turn your perspective into a positive one.
Yeah. I like that a lot, and that's actually comes from positive psychology. They talk a lot about savoring as one of the ways toward happiness. So I like the idea of noticing the beauty and kind of taking a moment to savor it. Good tips. So where can people who are listening to this go to hire you, to find out more about your services?
They can go to my website, which is heavenlyenergyworks.com, or they can follow me on YouTube or Facebook, or they can give me a call. My number is 941-706-1249.
Okay, and we'll make sure we have the link to your website and your phone number on the description of this podcast. So, Harrison, thank you so much for joining me. It was so great talking to you.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Thank you for listening to Discernment Radio. If you like the show, please click to follow.